This week on Stakelbeck on Terror, the world knows it today as the West Bank, but the Bible calls it something else. Judea, Samaria, Israel's biblical heartland, home of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and today home to some 300,000 Israelis and a series of thriving Jewish communities. Now, two leading voices from Samaria take us on a tour of Israel's Bible Belt and explain why this land should always be in Israeli hands. Let's go to work. And welcome to Stakelbeck on Terror. I'm joined today by two true watchmen on the wall for the land of Israel. David Haivry is the director of the Shomron Liaison Office, which is the public relations office for Samaria. He's also spokesman for the Shomron Regional Council, which is the largest regional council by area in the state of Israel. And Tommy Waller is the founder and executive director of Hayovel, the only international humanitarian organization supporting farming and archaeological programs in Judea and Samaria, Israel's biblical heartland. Gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you. You know, the last time we met and we spent some time together, we were in the mountains of Israel, where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob once walked. And David, Samaria is Israel's biblical heartland. You're there. You're the main spokesman for the region. Tell us why Samaria, the so-called West Bank, according to the international narrative, but not here at CBN News. Tell us why Samaria, Judea, why they're so important to the Jewish people. Give us a little bit of the history of that region.
Well, first of all, the land that I live I live in Kfar Tapuach, which is in the center of the Samaria, the center. In Hebrew we say Shomron. And this is Israel's high ground. We're on the mountaintops, looking down on all of Israel's coastal area. From where I live and from all of the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria, and that's also called by the international community West Bank or the Jewish settlements, our communities overlook all of the Tel Aviv area. So from a strategic point of view, you understand that, well, if you look back and see what happened in Gaza, when Israel pulled out of Gaza 6 years ago and gave that area over to the Palestinians, since then they've been shooting rockets from Gaza into Israeli cities, and they can't even see where they're shooting because Gaza is a flat ground. But if they had, God forbid, the advantage of being on the mountaintops where we are, they could be looking down at Tel Aviv, and we see the buildings, and we see the Mediterranean, and they would close down Israel's international airport at Ben Gurion. Israel would be totally isolated, and the major population center in the Tel Aviv region would be under threat. So from a strategic point of view, from a security point of view, that's very important.
That's reason enough to hang on to Judea and Samaria for the state of Israel, and also talk about the biblical reasoning as well for the Jewish people.
Well, that's actually the main, and that's the more important. This area is the heartland of Israel. All of the Bible, all of the stories of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph, all occurred in Judea and Samaria. If we read in the Bible of our father Abraham, who followed the calling of God, God says to Abraham, "Go out from your land to a land that I will show you." The first place that Abraham reached is Shechem, Elon Moreh, which is just 15 minutes north of where I live. I can see that from my home. I can see the ancient city of Shechem. The Arabs call that city Nablus. That is on road number 60. If we take road number 60 from north to south, we are going to encounter all of the biblical locations that are told about in the Bible around these figures, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shechem, Shiloh, or Shiloh, Bethel, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Hebron, and Beersheba. They're all along that same road that winds around the mountaintops of Judea and Samaria. And
it's like a map of the Old Testament, literally.
Oh, it's there. It's all there.
It truly is. You know, and David and Tommy, you guys gave me just an excellent tour of the region recently, and everywhere we went, you guys would say, oh, that's where Joshua is buried. That's Joseph's tomb. This is the mountain of blessing, the mountain of curses. This is where Abraham entered the land. The connection to the Bible and to the Jewish people is irrefutable in Judea and Samaria. And you think of a place like Shiloh, where the Ark of the Covenant stood for almost 400 years. Before it stood in Jerusalem, it stood in Samaria. People don't know that. David, what brought you to Samaria? You made Aliyah as a young man, moved to Israel from New York, where you're from originally. Why Samaria and not Tel Aviv, not Haifa?
Well, I think that, first of all, my wife and I, Mali, and I looked for a good community to live in and a good atmosphere and educational system for our children to bring them up. We have 8 children. And we seeked around in different places. We wanted to be near enough to Jerusalem to reach the Holy City, but to have our privacy in a nice community. And we found this beautiful community in Kfar Tapuach in the Shamron, beautiful scenery. And we found an option to connect with our history, with the history of the Jewish people that I've been telling you about. And we've been there for the past 21 years. We have a home, we have olive orchards, and we've raised all of our children there in that community, and we're very connected to the land.
Yeah. And another guy who's connected to the land is my friend Tommy Waller. A lot of people might say an unlikely connection, an evangelical Christian from the Nashville, Tennessee area originally. What brought you, your wife, and your 11 children to Samaria?
Well, Eric, it has been a blessing and an honor for us to be a part of this, what God's doing in the earth today. And for us to, I can say that when we first came to Israel, we were very ignorant. As sadly, many in the Christian community are still ignorant to the realities of what's happening in Samaria and Judea, and why is it for us to support it, and why does the Christian community need to support this area? We came there about 8 years ago as a farmer from Tennessee, and we ended up on Mount Gerizim, where you were at, the Mount of Blessing. We stood there with one of the vineyard owners, and we saw that the fulfillment of the scriptures, of the prophecies of scriptures, Jeremiah and Isaiah and Joel and Amos and these on, these prophecies of restoring the land, and specifically the mountains of Israel, was actually taking place. And these brave Jewish people, David I say this is the face of Samaria, and he represents those people. These farmers also represent the people of Israel, and their effort to hold on and to claim the promises of the scriptures, the promises that God gave in Judea and Samaria, specifically there. They stood on those mountains. Abraham stood on that mountain in Shechem, or Nablus today they call it, and he stood there and he received a promise. And for me as a Christian, do I believe that promise is true, or is it not true? I believe it's true. So I went there and I began to. I felt like God was saying to me, "You can do something. You don't have to watch. It's okay sometimes to watch CBN and to watch CNN and these places and to say, go, way to go Jews, way to go Jewish people, and to just expect that that's going to be okay for us to watch. It's not okay just to watch. We need to get involved. And so this year we're bringing over 300 people to work in the mountains of Israel and to get the same the experience that you had there on that mountain. And it's an amazing thing to stand there on those places and to be able to see it.
I think a key thing here, Tommy, is there's this narrative in the mainstream media, the international media, of these wild-eyed settlers.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but David Haivry seems like a pretty eloquent, pretty well-educated, reasonable guy to me. And Tommy, you absolutely discovered when you went there to Samaria, you have a bustling city like Ariel, where Palestinians work freely and move freely. You discovered, hey, this narrative, these people are not radicals. A lot of people living in Judea and Samaria are actually not very religious.
Right, and one of the things we did see was we saw families there, and obviously being an advocate of family with 11 children, we saw small children running around the West Bank, this dangerous place, and we saw the Jewish people, living in these places, and there is a secular community, and David can talk more about that, but the Zionism, to call ourselves, and most of the people that are watching probably the show today would consider themselves Christian Zionists. A Zionist, what does that mean? Does that just mean that we have a place for Jews to live? Or is it fulfilling the mandate of the promise that God gave to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob? And the land was very specific. The land was from, in a very specific place and designated. We saw that standing on the mountains. But it also had to do with the specific people. And we also have to embrace that God wanted that, or specifically made that promise to a people.
An everlasting covenant.
Amen.
We only have about a minute left, guys. David, before the commercial, I wanted to ask you real quick, how did you guys hook up? An Orthodox Jew in Samaria, an evangelical Christian from Nashville, Tennessee area. How did you hook up?
Eric, I agree that this is a very unique team working together. Tommy and I representing our respective communities. And Tommy did come out on his own initiative and found the farms of Samaria and found the prophecy coming alive and asked to be part of that. And he brought out his family, and then he went back to America and he told his friends and brought out more people. This past year, he's brought over 300 volunteers to work in the vineyards of the Samaria. And next season, they're going to start in the archaeological dig at Shiloh. And I realized this amazing man who's done an amazing thing by bringing American Christians to assist us with no agenda at all, aside for just helping the Jewish people and being part of the awakening in the land of Israel. And that's how we met on the mountains of Israel. And now we're touring together and speaking on behalf of these amazing deeds.
And I can tell you, God's hand is all over this union. I can tell you from being around these guys, being in Judea and Samaria. Well, we have much more to discuss about Israel's biblical heartland, security concerns, a lot more coming up. Stay tuned.
Remember to check out the Stakelbeck on Terror blog at cbnnews.com 24/7 for the latest on these and other stories.
Finding video on cbn.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels, and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find, and now easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on cbn.com.
Fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain and make a huge mess to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits, apples, oranges, celery, cucumbers with no chopping, no slicing, no struggling. And thanks to the Power Juicer's revolutionary patented extraction technology, you can get up to 30% more juice than those other juicers. Doctors recommend we get 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. And the pulp from the extra large pulp catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
We asked CBN.com users how we could make our website easier to use, and we listened.
This is really easy to read and move through.
The information opens up a whole lot quicker.
Yeah, it's much faster.
There's everything I'm interested in right here. The click of a mouse.
The new CBN.com has been redesigned, making it faster to find your favorite 700 Club stories, musical guests, our online community, and special features.
Anyone can enjoy this new site.
Visit the new CBN.com today.
And welcome back. I'm joined once again by David Haivry, Tommy Waller, 2 mighty men of God in Israel's biblical heartland, and I don't say that lightly. You know, people have to get to Israel. They have to actually get in the land. For me, it changed my life the first time I went to Israel. I was always a Zionist. I was always a huge supporter of Israel. But to get there on the ground, see the security limitations, and especially get to that biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria, cross the so-called Green Line and walk the places where the forefathers walked. From your Bible, from the Old Testament, it's all there. And David Haivry, my friend here, leads some great tours of the region. And right now I want to take a look at a quick clip of David teaching in the mountains of Israel. Check it out.
We learn in the Bible that Abraham, the father of our nation, when he followed the calling of God, Hashem says to him, Lech lecha, go out from your father's home to a land that I will show you. And the next verse afterwards tells us that Abraham reached Shechem, Elon Moreh, this site. This is the first place, the first connection of the Jewish people to the land of Israel occurred here, in Shechem.
So, David, I understand you recently had a congressional delegation from the U.S. visit Samaria, took a tour. They crossed the so-called Green Line, where most politicians, unfortunately, don't go, and they got an up-close look at life in Samaria. Tell me how that went.
Heather Johnston from the American Israel Education Association did an amazing thing, which is a great breakthrough for Israel. And she brought over 5 congressmen for the first time to visit Judea and Samaria. And it's so important because so many decision makers around the world voiced their opinion regarding this area, Judea and Samaria, and Israel's control of that area, but so few have actually visited and have actually seen the facts on the ground. And it's just incredible. I've seen again and again bringing out decision makers and journalists like yourself to visit Judea and Samaria, and even people who are supportive of Israel and have been supportive of Israel, when they see the facts on the ground, they say, wow, we didn't realize that. That's not what we've been reading in the press. Oh, yeah. And people need to stand there. They need to stand in Barkan and look down and see Tel Aviv and realize there's nothing there. It's a short distance. We can touch it. Yeah. And visiting secular Israeli communities in Judea and Samaria, people say, wow, we thought all of the settlers were religious fanatics like yourself.
And even some Israelis think that, right?
Right. Well, we've actually been running the tours for Israelis as well. And we've brought out the majority of Israel's elected representatives and our members of government have been touring our region. And people need to see it. If people want to make an opinion, if people want to voice an opinion, they need to see it themselves.
That's right. That's right. And Tommy, you've seen it for yourself. Talk about the security concerns there.
We've never had, in 8 years, never had really an issue there. It is a volatile area, but the IDF is very much in control. So the concerns about coming into this part of Israel and being afraid, it's really not there.
You spend half of your time there.
Oh, yeah. We're there a lot. And
your whole family.
Yes, and we're not in armored vehicles, and we're living, we're there just like the residents of Judea and Samaria. They're driving up and down that road, that biblical road, Highway 60, is the road of the patriarch. It's where the places where the patriarchs walked from Jerusalem to Hebron, to the Galilee. This was a major thoroughfare, and it's still a major thoroughfare. And it's a beautiful place, and I would encourage people not to be afraid to come and to be with people like David Haivry that are leading these tours and educating people. Part of the problem is that we're not educated.
Well, we're going to leave it right there, Tommy. We're going to educate everyone a little bit more coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
I always wore a mask. I would never let anyone see what I really felt inside. My whole life, all I wanted to hear was that I love you and I want you. I just realized all of the horrible things that I've done in the past to feel loved and accepted. They were fleeting. It didn't matter. The relationship that I wanted my whole life was right there for me, and it was Jesus.
We created this website as a place where kids can learn the Bible in a whole new way.
Kids will love Superbook.tv. Their games, the ability to create your own personal Superbook characters. We even have a place for kids to listen to music on Superbook Radio.
Superbook is CBN's animated series that teaches the Bible through the eyes of 2 friends and their robot sidekick. We're going to tell stories all the way from creation to Christ's return.
The website also teaches kids life lessons. Parents can spend time online with their kids learning about the Bible.
Superbook and Superbook.tv are entirely gospel-centered, and by supporting it, you'll help bring God's Word to children all over the world.
We're reaching a new generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Together, we can give today's kids the truth of the Bible in a fun and exciting way that will change their lives.
Visit Superbook.tv today.
I had chased the record deal for years with no results. And then I let it go and I turned it over to him, and then there it is. I want people to know that you can't be bad enough for God to not love you or forgive you or to give you a second chance. He doesn't give you the right to judge you, so stop there and learn to love you the way he loves you. And then you can enjoy life more than you've ever enjoyed it before.
And welcome back. We're talking about Israel's biblical heartland of Samaria, Judea, why it needs to remain in Jewish hands. And David, one major reason is, look, you have 300,000 Jews living in Judea and Samaria. 300,000 people. Now, if you were to uproot these Jewish communities, what would happen there? I have a feeling that it would become Iran West, and that we'd see Iranian missiles and rockets in the hands of Hamas there, just like we've seen in Gaza.
First of all, Eric, I want to point out that it's kind of outrageous that we can have a discussion like this, that it's on the table, that civilized people can talk about uprooting people from their homes, and it's accepted. Because anywhere else in the world, it would be unacceptable to talk about plucking people out of their homes and destroying them. But Israel actually did that 6 years ago in Gush Katif, in Gaza. Israel voluntarily pulled out 7,000 Jewish people from their homes, demolished their homes, gave the area over to the Palestinians, allowed and assisted the Palestinians, as well as America, assisted the Palestinians in holding democratic elections. And the result of those democratic elections was that the Islamic Hamas was voted into government in Gaza. And since that time, they've had an Islamic regime there. I doubt they'll ever have elections again. And since then, they've been shooting rockets into Israel. So if you ask me now, in addition to that, you're asking what will happen to people if they're uprooted from their homes?
The social repercussions.
Here we have 7,000 Jewish residents who were productive, who had businesses, who had beautiful organic farms, who had schools and businesses and so forth. It was all destroyed. And now 6 years later, the majority of them have not been resettled. They're refugees in their own country. And now we ask, could Israel go and do that again to 300,000 people?
It would tear Israel apart. It would tear the state of Israel apart. Tommy, you know, there's a lot of reasons, obviously, to support Judea, Samaria, support these communities. But a major reason is, look, this is CBN, and we believe in the Bible here and the truth of the Bible. We come back to the Bible, and we come back to prophecy. Talk about the prophetic implications of that land.
Isn't it exciting, though, that we're talking about these discussions about, you know, where else would it, but we're actually talking about the words of the Scripture. Can you imagine Jeremiah 3,000 years ago speaking of these mountains or these mountains where the vineyards will be planted again in Jeremiah 31, and we're in a generation, we're in a place where it's actually happening,
and you're doing it,
and we're actually participating in it. We should be just totally exuberant and excited about this what's happening in our generation. And one of the things I hope to do is to ignite the church to say that there's a big elephant in the living room, and we need to pay attention to this. Israel is being formed because the prophets foretold that it would be formed. The Jews would come, the children of Israel would come back to their land. And
these being scattered for centuries.
Yes, and for us to be able to see it and to recognize it and to participate in that is a huge thing. And so
anyone, Tommy, let me just stop you for a second. Anyone can participate in this. Just hook up with Tommy, hiovel.org. We're going to give all the information at the end of the show. But anyone can participate, go, and literally work the vineyards of Israel like the Bible foretold. It's amazing. David, what's your take? I mean, one of the reasons you went back and settled in Samaria was because it was the land of the Bible, because there was prophetic implications there. What's your take on these times we're living in?
We're living in amazing times. The Jewish people are the phenomenon of history. They're a people, an ancient nation that has survived history in exile, retaining our national identity.
Through Holocaust, pogroms, massacres, still kicking.
Still kicking, and still focused. The Jewish people for nearly 2,000 years all faced Jerusalem in prayer 3 times a day and prayed to return to our land, to reestablish our country. And in this generation, we've seen it happen. And it's amazing. There's no parallel to that in the history of the world, of a people who are exiled from their land, retain their national identity, and actually return to their land. And we've done that.
Unprecedented in human history. It's got, again, it's got God's hand all over it. Unprecedented in human history, a modern-day miracle. Before we go to the break, Tommy, your son Joshua has a great new song out called I Believe. He's in the Heartland, and he's telling everyone, hey, this is what it's like. So we want to go to a quick clip. This is Joshua Waller, I Believe.
Where will you stand? There's a choice being made. And will you stand and say, I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain and make a huge mess to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits, apples, oranges, celery, cucumbers with no chopping, no slicing, no struggling. And thanks to the Power Juicer's revolutionary patented extraction technology, you can get up to 30% more juice than those other juicers. Doctors recommend we get 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. And the pulp from the extra large pulp catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
I was always on the cusp of exploding. So I figured out if I get rid of the wife and the kids, then I can just send them money. Went to the junk drawer, I got the Bible, I put the tape in, and I believe that moment, Christ made sense. There is no earthly reason why we're still married. It is a divine intervention, and I thank God, and showing me what love, grace, and forgiveness looks like.
I had chased the record deal for years with no results. And then I let it go and I turned it over to him, and then there it is. I want people to know that you can't be bad enough for God to not love you or forgive you or to give you a second chance. He doesn't give you the right to judge you, so stop there and learn to love you the way he loves you. And then you can enjoy life more than you've ever enjoyed it before.
And welcome back. Wrapping up here with David Haivry, Tommy Waller. It's been great to have you guys. And just some final thoughts. Where can we find you? How can we follow you for the viewers at home?
If people would be interested in following what we're doing or getting more information, number one, you can contact me through my website, yeshuv.org, YESHUV.org, or follow me on Twitter for updates throughout the day.
You're a Twitter fiend, we know.
I'm there on Twitter. Twitter is my username is my name, Haivry, Haivri.
And Tommy, how about you, real quick?
Eric, we know that the focus of those that oppose Israel are focused on a specific area in Judea and Samaria. And so us in the Christian community who are supporting Israel need to also focus our prayer life, our financial support, our even coming and working in these mountains. And I would encourage people to come and to participate and stand against the opposition to Israel. This is an important thing that we can do. And you can find us at hayovel.com. Hayovel. Ha is the, and Yovel is the Jubilee in Hebrew. So hayovel.com.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure, and the people of Israel live.
Yes.
Until next time, take care, and God bless.